So, Christopher, if you could please come to the stage.
All right, I'm standing between you all and drinks. I don't take that lightly, but it's exciting today's been a really exciting day. I have learned a lot, and before I go further, I just want to make sure I say thank you to the Kern District, to Kylie, to Career Ladders Project, and I'm up here, but really to my colleagues, Camille, who's sitting right there, Megan, who's next to her, and my colleague Sesson, who's recording me saying his name, I think. But really, just thank you. They're doing the hard work at Trust West, focused on dual enrollment, and so I'm just really grateful, to work with them each day. I'm going to try to close this out as quickly as possible. This is one of the hardest jobs with the exception of after lunch, this is one of the hardest jobs. But I want to start with a story and hopefully draw some folks in. It's a story about someone who inspires me, actually. She is still with us, and who many of you in this room remind me of. I want to tell you about Miss Betty Hardy. Folks have probably heard about her if you've heard me speak before. She's from Brawley, California. I'm from Brawley, the other valley, the Imperial Valley. That is not the Inland Empire. Folks hear Inland Empire when I say that, but I'm from the Imperial Valley. I grew up in Brawley. Brawley is down in the southeast corner of the state, near Mexico and Arizona. When I moved there were 8,000 people there. We didn't have a Walmart. Now we have a Walmart. We have 2 Jack in the Box locations. One is cooler than the other. But it's also one of our state's poorest counties. I spent time when I grew up there. I was not spending a lot of time thinking about college. It wasn't something that was really on my mind there. I worked in a mine at one point, mining geothermal material. So like going down into a mine in this little cart, it's really dirty, really dark, and actually really dangerous to do. I worked at McDonald's at one point, which was great. I graduated from McDonald U, which was a lot of fun. And I also worked in fields, actually getting food out of a field that was feeding other Californians at the time. And so college wasn't something that was necessarily on my mind. Having 3 degrees and 3 fancy letters behind my name was not something I aspired to or even was really thinking about. I also wasn't thinking about the student loan debt that I ended up incurring. Sidebar, I just had my debt forgiven via the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which all of you should be using, I hope. I had $144,000 of debt, and now it's gone, which is amazing. But Ms. Hardy was thinking about college. She probably wasn't thinking about the debt that I was going to incur. A lot of that debt I spent in my master's program, actually, and some of it sending money home and all of those things. But Ms. Hardy had college on her mind. She was my guidance counselor, and I credit her and my now late mom, and of course myself, with being able to stand here with all of you. She saw something in me at the time. I was a knucklehead. I was a troublemaker. But she saw something in me that was more than that. She also knew, sort of by definition, what it was going to take for me to get there. I was in my senior year and hadn't completed A through G courses, hadn't completed a FAFSA, another reason why at Trust West prioritizes FAFSA completion in our agenda. And she had a plan, and dual enrollment was part of that plan. The state was running a program called BorderLink at the time. It was run by this fancy public institution that I knew nothing about called UC Berkeley. They were offering those classes to us via dial-up. We could take a dial-up class to complete. It was the way I completed the A through G sequence, and I became eligible for the University of California. I ended up going to UC Santa Barbara, which was fantastic. But here's the thing. As great as Miss Hardy was, she's just one person, or is. She's still living. She lives in Santa Barbara now. Hopefully she's having a great bottle of wine today. But she's just one person. And certainly we need more Miss Hardys. We need more folks like all of you in this room. But I think what we need more, or maybe equally, is a system that is set up so that young people, young knuckleheads like me, encounter a system that's designed with equity at the center, that's designed so that serendipity is not why I'm standing here, and so that at a system that recognizes that advancing equity cannot be done by a single person, or shouldn't be done by a single person, and opportunities shouldn't rely on just running into the right guidance counselor in the hallway, when actually I was getting in trouble that day. So that brings me to today. I think there are so many Miss Hardys in this room, and I'm really excited about the momentum. Someone talked about momentum earlier. I think it was Sonia earlier who said, what we are experiencing now is a result of the unrelenting commitment that so many of you have to our students every day. You all want the very best for them. You all show up and do the work each and every day. And that means that our kids have the opportunity to learn and grow. So that's important. I hope you all feel as excited about that as I do. I'm appreciative of all of you, so thank you. But I'm also not naive. We've heard so much today about the work we still have to do. Despite our progressiveness, I would call it our faux progressiveness as a state, we know, as I said earlier, the system we have in California is rife with inequities that are baked into this system, deeply baked in. We heard plenty of examples of that today from folks in this room. We heard about folks still needing principal signatures to allow young people to experience dual enrollment. We heard about institutional leaders outright denying partnerships for dual enrollment and high schools shopping to find another college to engage in dual enrollment opportunities with. We heard about GPA barriers. Linda reminded us that's probably illegal or is illegal. We heard about turf wars between community college faculty and K-12 educators. We heard about compliance issues related to classroom hours and making sure you're accounting for those appropriately. We heard about master schedule issues that our K-12 friends struggle with. And worst of all, we heard from many of you in this room a strong and palpable disbelief too often in our young people. So I'm not naive that California has work to do. We have work to do to make sure that we have more equitable representation of students of color in dual enrollment programs, but that these programs are set up for success. So we have work to do. But I'm also convinced of this, and I think Ben Cheetah, this morning mentioned the blurring of the lines between high school and college. I think that dual enrollment is a promising way to do that. I think it's one of the biggest levers we have to do that. We also have the Golden State Pathways opportunity, which is we hope that folks are also thinking about as they think about dual enrollment. And certainly those things will not fix everything. But it's important, and so many of the sessions today focus on equity. It's in the title of the conference. We heard about folks working to create intentional pathways for students. We heard about folks creating opportunities for folks involved in the carceral system, for foster youth. And we also heard the framing of one of the sessions I really appreciated was asking the question of how do we move from equity barriers and pathways to making these efforts equity builders, making these efforts really opportunities for us to advance equity in education. And I think that's key. That's what we need to try to achieve, in my opinion. And the question, or I think one of the ways we do that starts here today, or continues here today. So I'm hopeful, and I hope that you all will reflect on two questions while you're having drinks and tomorrow. One is like, what will it take to create systemic change on your campus, in your county, in your community, so that Miss Hardys are not the linchpin for someone else's future? And the second question I hope you will reflect on is how will you leverage the 400 plus other people here today? I just heard from Kylie, there's someone here who said that they believe they're the only person in their district or in their high school that's committed to equity around these issues. But you have 400 other people here today who I hope you will feel like you can call, you can email, I know Career Ladders has a community of practice that perhaps you want to join and leverage. And so, last couple words before drinks. I know, you know, that this work is not easy, but it's easier when you have partners, when you have people to lean on in this work. And that's what I think we hope today is the beginning of for some of you. To lean on folks who are going to help you when the times get tough, when you encounter a school board who may not be with you, when you encounter trustees who may not be with you. There are resources here so that you don't have to recreate the wheel, so that you can go empowered to make the sort of change that students need you to do. So my team had me doing in this end of these remarks, they wanted me to have you all stand up and go meet 10 other people. I think that's too much at 4 p.m. So I just invite you to leave here with 10 business cards with people you don't know. Not the 10 people at your table, because I think you've been at these tables all day. But 10 people who you can start to call new friends, new colleagues, so that you can call on them in the work that you do. And again, just appreciate all of you. I hope you remember the spirit of Miss Hardy in the work that you do. She is great, all of you are great, but individuals aren't enough. We need systems to be better, and we can do that together. So thank you, and you can find me at the bar.